Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into how artificial intelligence is changing the world of investment management.
Yeah.
We're basing this deep dive on a fascinating report that came out from the UK's Investment Association.
Yes.
It's called Artificial Intelligence, Current and Future Usage Within Investment Management. And, just to give you a sense of where we're going with this, imagine a future where your portfolio is being managed by a robot advisor that can make split-second trading decisions.
Right.
Based on just like mountains of data.
Yeah.
It analyzes it like lightning fast.
Uh-huh.
That's the future.
Yeah.
That AI promises in finance.
Yeah.
And this report that we're going to be discussing gives us a really good glimpse into how close that future really is.
Right.
And, whether you're an investor or just curious about, where things are headed in finance, this deep dive is, going to give you some really good insights into how AI is being used today and where it's headed next. So to get us started, can you give us some background on the Investment Association?
Sure.
And why their insights on this topic carry so much weight?
So the Investment Association is essentially the voice of the UK's investment management industry.
Yeah.
They represent over 250 members who collectively manage, get this, £9.1 trillion
Wow.
in assets.
That's a big number.
That's larger than the entire GDP of Japan.
Wow.
So they're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And the UK as a whole manages a pretty significant chunk of Europe's assets as well, like 37%.
Okay.
Which is a lot.
Wow.
So when they release a report like this, it's not just theoretical. It's grounded in what's actually happening in the industry with these major players.
Yeah.
So it carries a lot of weight.
Okay. So the report talks about this concept called Investment Fund 3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of like futuristic.
It does. It does.
What exactly is this Investment Fund 3.0? And what role does AI play in all of this?
Okay. So Investment Fund 3.0, that's their vision for the future of these funds.
Okay.
And it uses both AI and DLT, or distributed ledger technology.
Okay. Now, for those who maybe aren't familiar with DLT,
Sure.
Can you just give us like a quick rundown of what that is?
Yeah. So DLT is basically the tech behind blockchain.
Okay.
So think of it like this. All transactions are recorded on multiple computers at the same time.
Okay.
And it's all super secure,
Gotcha.
transparent, and you can't tamper with it.
Okay.
So no fraud, and everyone's accountable.
Right.
Now, when you combine that with AI's ability to analyze huge amounts of data
Yeah.
and then make smart investment decisions,
Right.
you could end up with an investment fund that's completely automated,
Yeah.
highly efficient, really secure, and completely transparent.
Okay. So AI in finance, I mean, this isn't exactly brand new, is it? What's causing this surge in interest and adoption that we're seeing right now?
Well, firms have been using what we call classical AI
Okay.
for a while now for things like, algorithmic trading,
Right.
anti-money laundering, monitoring, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really shaking things up is what we're calling generative AI.
Okay.
This type of AI, it can actually create content.
Wow.
It understands natural language, like what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
And it can even make some pretty complex decisions.
Okay.
So it's this big leap forward, and that's why everyone's so excited.
Gotcha. So how are investment firms actually putting these advanced AI technologies to work? How are they implementing this stuff?
Well, they're doing it in a few ways. They're setting up internal teams dedicated to AI. They're experimenting with AI tools.
Okay.
Things like what they call general purpose co-pilots. And they're figuring out which parts of their business, would benefit the most from having AI integrated.
Okay.
So a lot of firms are already using AI to do things like streamline their regulatory compliance reviews, generate sales leads, optimize their trading strategies, support their client service agents, market research, even reconcile funds and write code.
Wow. So they're really finding lots of different applications for it.
Exactly.
Can you give us some more specific examples of how this is actually being used today?
Sure. So in the report, they have some case studies.
Okay.
For example, one firm is using AI to draft responses to requests for proposals.
Okay.
Those RFPs, it can be a really time-consuming process.
Yeah.
And another firm is testing AI-powered chatbots to deal with like basic client inquiries.
Interesting.
Like, checking account balances, that kind of thing.
Okay. So with any new technology, there's going to be challenges.
Right.
What are some of the big hurdles that firms are facing when trying to implement AI?
Well, one of the biggest ones is just getting people on board,
Right.
Overcoming that internal resistance to change.
Yeah.
People can be hesitant to embrace new technology,
Yeah.
especially if they think their jobs might be on the line.
Right. Of course.
Then there's the challenge of actually, proving that AI is worth the investment.
Okay.
How do you measure its value,
Yeah.
especially in those early stages when you're just starting to implement it?
Right.
And then, of course, there are the risks that come with AI, things like hallucination
Okay.
and bias in the algorithms.
Right.
Plus, the tech itself still has limitations.
Okay.
And there's a real shortage of people who actually have the expertise to build and manage these sophisticated AI systems.
Right. So you need the people who can actually make it work. So even though AI has a lot of potential, it's clearly not a simple or easy process to implement.
Definitely not.
Now, the report also touches on the regulatory landscape surrounding AI. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the UK government, they're taking what you might call a pro-innovation approach to AI regulation.
Okay.
They want to encourage development and adoption.
Right.
But they also want to make sure it's all done, responsibly and ethically.
Of course, yeah.
And they're keeping a close eye on the EU's AI Act as well.
Okay.
Because that has some pretty strict requirements that could affect UK firms that operate in the European market.
Right.
The IA is really pushing for clear regulations and for everyone to be on the same page globally.
Okay.
To create a stable environment for AI development and investment.
Right. So it sounds like the industry is really navigating uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
With all these challenges and regulatory questions. What does the future hold for AI in investment management?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But despite all these hurdles, I think everyone agrees that AI has the potential to totally revolutionize this industry.
Okay.
And the report talks about several future uses that have got everyone really excited.
So what are some of these futuristic possibilities? I'm really curious to hear what could be on the horizon.
Well, imagine 247 client support.
Okay.
But not just any support,
Right.
Support from really advanced AI chatbots that can answer your questions, resolve your issues, and give you personalized investment advice.
Wow.
Advice that's tailored to your own risk tolerance, your financial goals, and even your ethical values.
Yeah.
That could really change how people experience investing, make it much more accessible to everyone.
That's fascinating. So what else? What other potential advancements do you see coming down the pipeline?
Okay, so think about this. Automated portfolio management. AI algorithms could be constantly monitoring the market's economic data, how companies are performing.
Right.
And then automatically adjusting your portfolio to make sure you're getting the best returns while minimizing risk.
Interesting.
You wouldn't have to spend hours managing your investments. You could just let the AI do it for you.
So these advancements sound incredible. But I mean, they also kind of raise some questions, right, about the risks and the challenges of relying so heavily on AI.
Right.
The report does touch on some of these concerns. Can you talk about some of those a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the biggest concerns is, transparency.
Okay.
And being able to explain how these AI-driven decisions are being made.
Right.
If AI is making decisions that affect your money,
Yeah.
you need to understand how it's doing it.
Trust
You
you.
just need to be able to trust it.
Yeah.
So we need AI systems that are not only effective, but, transparent
Right.
and accountable.
Okay. So what other risks are there that we need to be thinking about?
Well, there's the potential for bias,
Right.
in those algorithms.
Yeah.
Because AI systems, they're trained on these huge data sets.
Right.
And if those data sets contain biases, then the AI could just keep repeating those biases.
Right.
And that could lead to some really unfair outcomes.
Yeah.
Like in lending or how investments are allocated.
Right. So we have to make sure that the systems are being developed and trained in a way that minimizes bias.
Exactly.
And promotes fairness.
Yeah.
The report also talks about responsible AI development.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means exactly?
Well, responsible AI, it means thinking about a whole range of issues.
Okay.
Things like data privacy, security,
Right.
and the ethical implications of using AI.
Okay.
It's about making sure that AI is used for good,
Yeah.
that it benefits society as a whole.
Of course, yeah.
And that we're really thinking carefully about the risks and how to avoid them.
Okay. So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how it's used.
Exactly.
Now, the report also explores how AI is changing how firms evaluate companies. We've talked about ESG factors a bit.
Yeah.
But can you dig a little deeper into how AI is being used to really assess those factors?
Yeah. So AI can analyze mountains of data from all sorts of sources, sustainability reports, news articles, social media posts.
Okay.
And it uses that data to understand a company's environmental impact, their social practices, and their governance structure.
Right.
This allows investors to go beyond just the financial numbers,
Yeah.
They can get a much fuller picture of how the company's performing and if it's aligned with their own values.
Okay. So it's giving investors like a more well-rounded view.
Exactly. A much more holistic view.
But how accurate are these, AI-powered ESG assessments? Can we really rely on them?
Well, AI can definitely improve ESG analysis,
Okay.
but there are still some challenges.
Okay.
Like, we don't always have enough data.
Right.
And the data we do have isn't always consistent or standardized.
Okay.
Different companies report things in different ways.
Yeah.
And there aren't any universal standards for measuring and reporting this stuff.
It's not perfect.
Right. So it can be tough for AI to make really accurate comparisons across different companies and industries.
Right.
You still need human judgment and expertise to understand the data and put it in context.
Right. It's not a magic bullet.
Right. It's about combining the power of AI with human intelligence.
Gotcha.
The best of both worlds.
So this conversation has been really insightful.
Yeah.
It's clear that AI has the potential to really transform the investment management industry.
Definitely.
It's not just a fad. It's a real shift in how things are done.
Yeah.
And as we kind of wrap up this first part of our deep dive,
Right.
I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about.
Okay.
As AI becomes more and more integrated into our financial systems, what role do we want to play in shaping that future?
It's a good question.
Do we embrace it?
Yeah.
Do we approach it with caution?
Right.
It's something to really think about.
Definitely.
So we've got a lot to ponder.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, keep exploring this topic. Keep asking those tough questions.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting area.
It is.
And we'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into the world of AI in investment management.
Looking forward to it. So as we've been discussing, AI is really changing the game in investment management. But the question is, as AI keeps evolving, what happens to human judgment, to that intuition that's been so important in this field?
It's a fascinating thing to think about, this back and forth between human expertise and AI.
Yeah.
Will there always be that need for a human to oversee things? Or will AI eventually get to a point where it can just operate on its own?
AI is amazing at processing tons of data and finding patterns that we might miss.
Right.
But there are still some parts of investment management where human judgment, that human touch, is really important, at least for now.
Can you give us an example of where human insight might still be better than AI, maybe for the foreseeable future?
Sure. Think about things like trying to navigate those really complex market changes, or assessing risks on a global scale, geopolitical risks, or even just understanding what investors are feeling, that sentiment. These are areas where human intuition, experience, and even creativity are really important. AI can give us data and insights, but making the right investment decisions often needs a deeper understanding, a strategic way of thinking that AI hasn't quite mastered yet.
So it's not about replacing human fund managers with AI. It's more about finding ways to use AI to make those human capabilities even better.
Exactly. It's about the two working together, where AI helps human experts make even smarter decisions.
Now, the IA report goes into some potential future uses of AI in investment management. We talked about a few before, but can you expand on some of the most interesting ones?
One area that could really change things for investors is personalized investment advice. Imagine platforms powered by AI that could give you recommendations specifically for you, based on how much risk you're comfortable with, your financial goals, and even your ethics.
Okay.
That could make sophisticated financial advice much more affordable and accessible for everyone.
That's really interesting. Personalized advice that fits your needs and values could change how people think about investing completely. What other areas could AI have a similar impact on?
Another exciting possibility is automating portfolio management completely. Think about it. AI algorithms that are always watching market conditions, economic data, how companies are doing, and they automatically adjust your portfolio to get the best returns and minimize risk. You wouldn't have to spend time actively managing your investments anymore. AI would take care of it for you.
Okay. These sound amazing, but they also bring up some questions about the risks and challenges of relying so much on AI, right?
Right.
The report mentions some of these. Can you tell us a bit more about those concerns?
One of the biggest challenges is making sure that AI-driven decisions are transparent, that people can understand how those decisions are made. If AI is impacting your money, you need to be able to trust it, right?
Of course.
So we need AI systems that are not only good at what they do, but also transparent and accountable for their actions.
Right. Transparency is key to building trust.
Yeah.
What other risks should we be aware of?
Another concern is bias in the algorithms themselves. Because AI systems learn from huge sets of data, if that data contains bias, the AI might just keep repeating those biases in its decisions. And that could lead to unfair results, particularly in areas like lending or deciding where investments go.
So it's really important to make sure that these AI systems are built and trained in a way that reduces bias and makes things fair.
Exactly.
The report also emphasizes the importance of responsible AI development. What does that involve exactly?
Responsible AI development means thinking about a lot of different things. Data privacy, security, and the ethical side of using AI. It's about making sure AI is used in a way that benefits everyone and thinking carefully about the risks and how to avoid them.
Okay, so it's not just about the tech itself, it's about using it the right way.
Right.
The report also talked about how AI is changing how firms evaluate companies to invest in. We talked about ESG factors earlier, but can you tell us more about how AI is specifically being used to measure those factors?
AI can analyze a huge amount of data from all sorts of places. Company sustainability reports, news articles, even social media posts. It uses this data to figure out a company's environmental impact, how socially responsible they are, and how well they're governed. This gives investors a much more complete picture than just looking at financial numbers. They can see if the company aligns with their own values.
So AI is helping investors get a more holistic view of companies.
Exactly.
But how much can we really trust these AI-powered ESG assessments? How reliable and accurate are they?
AI is definitely making ESG analysis better, but there are still some challenges.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just don't have enough data, or the data we have isn't consistent or standardized. Companies report things differently, and there aren't any universal standards for measuring and reporting ESG performance. So it can be hard for AI systems to give truly accurate and comparable assessments across different companies and industries.
So it sounds like human judgment is still important for understanding the data AI gives us and putting it all into context.
Absolutely. It's about combining AI's analytical power with the critical thinking and understanding of human experts.
Our conversation today has really shed light on how AI is changing investment management.
Yeah.
It's clear that AI is here to stay, and it's going to play a bigger and bigger role in how the financial world works.
Definitely.
As we finish up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
As AI becomes even more integrated into our financial systems, it raises a question. What role do we as individuals want to play in shaping this future?
That's an important question to consider.
Will we embrace the potential of AI to make our financial lives better? Or will we approach it carefully because we're worried about the risks and what might happen?
It's a new world, and those are questions we need to think about carefully.
This deep dive has given us a lot to consider. Thanks again for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep learning about this topic and join the conversation about how AI is changing finance.
The IA report has a lot of great information, and we encourage you to take a look for a deeper dive.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI and investment management. Stay curious, and we'll be back soon to finish our deep dive. So it's pretty clear that the world of investment management is, it's about to change in a big way.
Yeah, I agree.
And AI is really driving that change.
Uh-huh.
This IA report, it's a really good guide. It shows us, the good stuff that's coming, the opportunities, but also the challenges we're going to have to face.
Yeah, it lays it all out pretty clearly.
And like we've talked about, AI could change everything. How portfolios are managed, how clients are taken care of, even how firms decide which companies to invest in.
It really touches every aspect.
But we got to remember, AI is a tool.
Right.
It all depends on how we use it.
That's the key.
But it is kind of reassuring to know that human judgment, that expertise, it's still going to be important.
Absolutely. Well, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
It's not going away anytime soon.
The firms that are really going to succeed, they're going to be the ones that can find that balance. Using the power of AI, but also keeping those human insights.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Combining the best of both worlds.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
As we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with one last question to think about.
Okay.
As AI keeps getting more and more a part of our financial systems,
yeah,
what role do we want to play, as individuals in shaping this future?
That's a big one.
Will we be open to it? Will we see the potential for AI to actually make our financial lives better?
Right.
Or will we be a little more cautious, a little hesitant because of the risks? It's definitely a new world we're stepping into, and it's something we need to think about carefully.
No easy answers.
This deep dive has given us all a lot to think about. Thanks so much for being here and for sharing your knowledge with us.
It's been my pleasure. It's such an exciting field, and it's changing so fast.
And to our listeners, keep learning about this stuff. It's really important.
Get curious.
Join the conversation.
Absolutely.
The IA report is a great place to start.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Lots of information in there. Really gets into the details of how this technology is changing things.
A great resource.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI in investment management. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.